just like to thank Bob and the Pride Community Council for putting together this event. It's a wonderful event. I'd also like to thank Joe for acknowledging Police Memorial Day. This is like Police Memorial Month, even though it's today. There's a number of events that occur throughout May. We had an event at One Police Plaza. We had last week, I was up in Albany for the state ceremony. It's a very sad time for us in the department, but it's a very important time for us to reflect on the sacrifices that the members of our department have made. And there have been many, as we can see recently, and also throughout the history of the department. With sad irony, when we were at 1PP, at the police memorial where we put the names of the officers from last year up on the wall, we were burying another officer the following year, which was last Friday, the one that killed in the 105th Precinct. So it's a very, very dangerous time. It's always been a dangerous job. We know that, but in this day and age, it seems to be even more dangerous. It seems to be just a surge in violence against the police, and it just makes a very difficult job that much harder. Look at what happened in Midtown. Look what happened out in Jamaica, Queens with the hatchet. We had 2 officers shot in the 46th precinct in January. Thankfully, they survived. So, we all know it is, how dangerous it is, but just sometimes we have to stop and remember and take a moment, and this is a great time, being Police Memorial Day, to just understand just what these officers do every day. They put that uniform on, they go out and, into the unknown. And, I think it's important that the community comes together and reflects on that and acknowledges that. So thank you. I've been here for a little over a year, and I've seen very promising signs in the area of public safety in the Bronx, including the 45th Precinct. Unfortunately, if you listen to the media all the time, particularly last weekend, you think there's always a crisis with violence. We're going back to the bad old times. Well, that's really not accurate. The press really, of course, jumps on those times when there's a surge in violence, and there's going to be times when there's a surge in violence, but there's also times when there's reductions in violence. You don't hear about in the newspapers when we have a great weekend, and a great week in crime and violence, so obviously we know why that happens. But the city has steadily over the years been reducing crime and violence, and yes, we were going to have spikes and we're going to have reductions, and that's going to continue. So far, in 2015, I'm happy to report the Bronx is down 4% in overall crime, including a reduction in shooting incidents, which is bucking the trend of the rest of the city. Under the leadership of the recently promoted Deputy Inspector McGowan, happy to report that. The men and women of the 45th Precinct have brought crime down over 2%, including a 50% reduction in shootings. And I know, people say, you throw out statistics, and it's important because we're still getting reductions in crime over 20-some-odd years of reductions in crime. And that's not an easy thing to do. And it's the people that are sitting here, the honorees and the other members of the 45th and the department. That's the reason it's getting done every day, and why crime continues to go down and these neighborhoods continue to improve. And it's nothing short of astonishing that they get that done all the time, considering all the difficulties that this job and obstacles. They just go out there every day and they get it done. And we're used to that. We're kind of spoiled, and we're used to the cops doing that, and the public is used to that too, and that's a good thing to get used to. And I'm sure that will always maintain. The predominant crime issue, thankfully, here in the 45th continues to be grand larceny, which is a good thing. It's property crime seems to be the predominant issue. It's a slight increase this year. There's a lot of reasons for that, a lot of growth. You have large malls in the 45th, and and a lot of other things going on. The precinct and department dedicate a lot of resources towards grand larceny, including the creation of a citywide grand larceny unit. And they have a team in the Bronx because the job is recognized that property crime has become a big issue. Again, thankfully, more than violence in this neighborhood in particular. So they put a lot of emphasis and resources towards that. So these teams in the Bronx work with the local precincts and to drive down grand larcenies. This is an exciting time in the police department. There's a lot of change. This is a result of Commissioner Bratton's re-engineering efforts. When the commissioner came in last January, like he did 20 years ago, he conducted what's called a CAT scan. He calls it a CAT scan of the department. He takes a look at the department from top to bottom. It was a very different department, a very different city from 1994 when he was last here. So he does that, and then he creates re-engineering committees. He looks at every aspect of the department to see what we can improve, what we should continue, what we should not continue, things we're doing right, things we're doing wrong. So he spent the last 15 months doing that, and the commissioner has submitted a plan of action, which actually is going to be released and made public within the next week, and it's going to describe a lot of initiatives that are going to take place in New York City. And it's going to be really good for the city, because a lot of it includes and is based on the partnership between the police and the community. You're going to see that common thread with a lot of the commissioners and the mayor's initiatives. And it's ironic here that on the program we have bridging police and community. It couldn't be any more appropriate. Yes, that's very important. You know, there's been a lot of good work done by the department in the last 20 years, but there's also been a little bit of criticism that the department has alienated the community a little bit with a lot of its police tactics, aggressiveness, and kind of walked away from that part of policing. You know, and there's some legitimacy to that to a degree, and the mayor and the police commissioner are committed to strengthening that partnership and bringing back a community policing element back to the police department. But not forgetting what our main job is to do, and that's to police the streets and keep them safe and reduce crime and violence and prevent chaos and disorder. And you can do both. A lot of people think you can't do both. That community policing is one style of policing and you're not going to be able to reduce crime. Well, that's not true. So that's what we're going to see what the commissioner releases, and there's a lot of great programs. I just want to touch on a couple of other quick things that are going on, and I know there's a lot of other things we need to get to. We had our first crime community forum recently in January. This was a borough-wide forum where the public can hear what the police department, particularly the Bronx, is doing, these presentations. And more importantly, we listen to your feedback because we want to hear what the issues are. So we're going to have more of those, so we'll publicize them like we did in January. So I encourage people to attend them because we want your input. We want to hear what the issues are so we can respond to them. With regards to training, the mayor and the police commissioner, in the wake of a lot of local and national events, realized that the department needs to be better trained. So they have what's called 20K training. It's a 3-day training course, which is really, it touches on a lot of issues, not only tactics for the officer's safety, of course, but it also deals a lot with understanding the communities they police, respect for the communities, legitimacy in policing. So it's a lot of good concepts that touch on this partnership with the community. We have the ongoing field training program, where the new officers who are assigned to the precinct now get exposed to the community more, and that's with the help of the community partners that sign up to facilitate a relationship between the officers and the members of the community, whether they're just residents, business leaders, or elected officials. So we want to get the officers more familiar with the people in the neighborhoods, you know, instead of just focused on enforcement and responding to jobs. Our Twitter initiative, social media. Please follow us on social media. It's very important. I know the inspector has a very active program with that, but that's a great way to plug into what's going on, not only in the 45th precinct, but in the police department. So I encourage everyone to do that. So in closing, I'd just like to congratulate all the honorees, both within the department and outside the department, the civilians as well. And I want to thank the members of the community for their support of the 45th and the department. because the only way we're going to get the job done is with you, you know, and the partnership between the police and community can't be any more important in this mission of keeping these communities safe. So, thank you. Appreciate it.
Next up, we have Senator Jeff Klein. The senator has just been amazing. When he first ran for this office, I know a lot of people in this community were concerned about losing some of the funding that this community always got because we had a prior senator that was there for so long. And, you know, there was worries that the money wasn't going to come back to this community. And I'm just amazed at the things that Jeff has done up in Albany. His coalition, Albany didn't move, and Jeff got up there and said, you know what, we're going to make this work. And by God, I think the first on-time budget came after Jeff was there. And what, 30, 40 years, Jeff? I mean, it was just amazing. So Jeff has just done an amazing job representing us. I'm very proud to call him my friend. Please welcome Senator Jeff Klein.
Thank you all very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to congratulate our Deputy Inspector during the 45th. Of course, we're joined by one of my colleagues, State Senator Ruth Haskell-Thompson, who does such an amazing job. And of course, our outstanding district attorney, the longest serving district attorney in the state. He's absolutely fantastic as well. I say he's the longest serving. This is absolutely fantastic. When I look around the large crowd, I think it's a real testament to this community and the work that you've done by partnering with our police department. I think Bob Beaton, who took over as president of the 45th Precinct Council not too long ago, has really made it into a community force, a proper eyes and ears for the community, and I think this breakfast is a lot of his doing, and I think he deserves a round of applause. Thank you, Bob. You know, I think everyone knows the old adage that the first duty of any government is to protect the citizens. And that duty is being met each and every day by the men and women in blue of the NYPD. And I think today when we did this memorial, today, Police Memorial Day, it was very touching. And I really want to congratulate the 45th Precinct because this is an organization that really understands. This is a community that understands we have to celebrate, we have to work with law enforcement each and every day. And you know, sometimes I'm amazed, even though I've been in public life now for 20 years, when I see the protests and I see the people criticizing law enforcement, I say to myself, that's certainly not what I hear in the communities I represent. I hear time and time again that they want more police officers on the street. They want some more police officers. You know, I attend an awful lot of meetings, and what I hear is that the people that I represent, or at least the people who show up at community meetings, recognize the importance of the work that our police department does. They recognize it because they're engaged. They see each and every day the men and women in the work that they do. They see each and every day that these individuals put their lives on the line. So when I see their protests and when I see the other protests, I have to ask a question of myself and really everybody else. You know, where is the outrage? Where are the protests when we lose a police officer? Where is the outrage when a young police officer is gunned down like several weeks ago, the third this year? That's what we should be talking about. When we talk about special prosecutors to investigate police, why aren't we talking about justice for that police officer at the hands of a hardened criminal? I think those are the questions we have to ask ourselves. And I believe that it is my duty not only to protect my constituency, but also to protect law enforcement who put their lives on the line each and every day. Let's hear it for our law enforcement. I think what makes our precinct so good, in many cases, the people. They listen. They have an active constituency. They have active community groups who each and every day are the eyes and ears of these various communities. And I know we're honoring some police officers, and I want to congratulate them. But I think the community leaders that are being honored today are people I've worked with for years. And these are the people that make our community work. These are the people that ensure we have the quality of life in our communities that we deserve. And these are the people that are really the eyes and ears for our community. And I know we have Deborah Jenkins. Let's give a big hand for Deborah. You know, Deborah has done such outstanding work. I know she's done work with survivors of domestic violence and victims of domestic violence, getting their lives back on track. That is work that is so important. Thank you, Deborah. I think she deserves another round of applause. Jim McQuaid, one of our outstanding local merchants, who not only cares about the business community, which he should care, but he also cares about the surrounding community. He's been involved in so many different things. Every year I host a 9/11 responder barbecue, and he helps me with that each and every year. He is such a terrific guy. Let's give him a round of applause. Lisa Storin was the executive director of the Westchester Square bid. I mean, if you look and see what Westchester Square is like now, I think because of her hard work, her effort, she was able to breathe new life into that commercial strip. She deserves a round of applause. Thank you. Paul Nani, let's give a hand for Paul, everybody. The Seattle community is one of those special communities. It's sort of one of our oases in the Bronx, and there's always a balance between a bustling commercial strip, especially the restaurants, and the community that lives there and works so hard to maintain their quality of life. And I think that Paul has really struck that balance and worked so very hard for the residents of City Hall. John Favetto, everybody, let's give him a hand. John is just absolutely amazing. You know, in many cases, I've never been so happy that somebody retired from their real job, because he has taken it up, a full-time job helping our community. He's sort of a one-man show when it comes to removing graffiti all over our community. I know he's one of the active members of Cop Shop here in the Bronx. I mean, he has made his community work into, as I said, a full-time job, and he just loves it, because he is somebody who gets up every day, wants to give something back, wants to make our community a better place. Thank you, John, for all you do. And finally, last but not least, Mary Jane Masano. Let's give a big hand for Mary Jane. The South Community Association, a community organization that I work very closely over the years, and Mary Jane is really what it's all about. She is truly the eyes and ears of our community. Whether it's traffic problems, quality of life issues, graffiti, she knows how to get it done. Because she's smart, she's tenacious, and she cares deeply about the people that she serves in our civic association. Thank you, Mary Jane. I really want to say a very special thank you to all of you. This is absolutely a pleasure to me to come. You know, I have sort of, I believe, one of the two most active precinct councils in the Bronx in my district, the 49th and the 45th, of course. And this is very important, because I think more than ever, our men and women in blue need the community. We need your love, we need your respect. And I think that's something that you do each and every day. And I think it's important for us to remember. We have to be very vigilant about protecting our communities. and it's important always to partner with our local precinct. Thank you all very, very much.
Next up, I'm going to ask Senator Ruth Hassel Thompson to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Bob. Good morning. I noticed, Bob, you gave my colleague a very long and very short introduction. No, that's all right. That's all right. That's fine. Because he acts like I don't represent the 45th just because I have the smallest part. But certainly, Jeff Klein does deserve all of the accolades that he did receive. And I guess that what I will say to let you a little bit off the hook is that everybody in here knows me, so I don't have to be introduced in the same way they did.
We had our doubts about Jeff when he first came.
You have a life in politics. There is definitely a role for you. I know that I really wasn't expected this morning. Sometimes our schedules get so crazy, but one of the things that Bob should always know is that even if the 45th is not the largest precinct in my district of the 36th, I don't think I've missed many of your breakfasts, and I always try to make sure that I'm here with you to celebrate the officers and the commanders who are being recognized. Because these are very tumultuous times. These are very difficult times, and we represent districts that are on both sides of this issue. And there are some very deep concerns, but one of the things that I've always tried to maintain is that in order for us to have order, we must have policing in our communities. If we could police ourselves, we could save a lot of money. But the fact is that it's not in the human psyche to do that. There's always the need to have someone to help us to keep order, and that's what our police departments are about. And so that it is incumbent upon us as legislators to try to keep level heads when our communities become chaotic. One of the things that I have such a great appreciation for is that New York has kept its head during all of this. And that's not to say that we're not cognizant of what's going on. We're not. It's not to say that we don't know that there are serious issues within both our communities and in our police departments. But our desire is to keep balance. And to say that we want to ensure that police officers, when they go out there, that two things happen. One, that they know that they have the support and protection of its community, but also that they have the obligation to ensure that they bring justice to what they do. So justice is not just on the side of the courts, but it's on the side of all of us, to ensure that we carry ourselves in a manner that says, respectfully, when our communities are treated with respect, they will give back respect. And that when they know that people are there to protect them and not just to incarcerate them, there's a different kind of mentality that is maintained. I don't know how many of you pay attention to the committee hearings and the things that we do in Albany, but I think it's incumbent upon those of you who are really sophisticated with your computers and whatever, that you pay attention, that you look and see what your legislators are doing. And when we had the hearings, I know that you will notice that we called Ben Tucker to task, and I think that people felt we were too hard on him. But, you know, when you come before a budget committee and you want things, you got to know what's going on in your communities. You got to know that your NYPD is already involved, deeply entrenched and involved in the snug, in some of our snug initiatives, which Jeff has brought to the Bronx. And we've had it in other communities, but the Bronx is new to the snug initiative. And our PDs have to be involved. They have to know, they have to be intricately involved in what we're doing. But this is an effort to enhance what the police department is doing, not to interfere. And so I think that these are things that we have to know, because the gangs are not going to respond in a manner to traditional ways of law enforcement. But we want to move gangs out of our community. But more than that, we want to be sure that we bring back PALs. Because where there's a PAL, those kids who will join back will have an alternative. And I know it costs more money, but it can't cost more than the lives that we're losing and the environment in which we are. And without relationships, I mean, PALs created a relationship between police and communities in a way that no other program that I know of has ever done. And so that we've got to push to make sure that there are PALs that are brought back. And then we can talk about how do we get our young people engaged in a different manner with our police departments, and how do we engage our police in a different manner. One of the things that I extol the virtues of Stevens, who is the commander in the 47th, the basketball tournaments, all last summer. Once we started those basketball tournaments on the campuses of some of the most difficult and the most troubled communities, we did not have gunfire, gunplay, not one weekend. And the commander brought his men out there, and they played basketballs against some of the toughest gangs. And I want to tell you, those are some neighborhoods that on Friday nights, you don't want to be there. But every Friday night, the streets were lit, and there were police and there were community guys in a very different kind of battle on the basketball court. And there was no trouble in the surrounding communities. Those are the kinds of relationships that we must engender and we must foster to ensure that there is the connection between our police department, and it doesn't just occur when an incident of negativity happens in our communities. So I am here to applaud the work of the 45th. It's one of my more quiet communities. Now you may think you got a lot of problems with the police over here. Trust me, I had the 44th, the 45th, the 47th, the 49th, the 52nd, and between the 44th and the 42nd, they kept me busy. They keep me busy all the time. So know that while you may not see me nearly as much in the 45th, you got it a little bit under control, a little bit better than my 47th does, and Mount Vernon that needs a lot of my time. But truly, thank you for the invitation to be here. I have citations as well for our honorees, and I want to congratulate each of them and let them know that we are 100% behind your efforts to keep us safe in our communities. Thank you.
I'm gonna skip on and do the police award second, because some of our honorees actually have to move along a little earlier today. So I'm actually gonna start with Lisa Sorin.
Viva! Viva! Viva!
You want to join me up at the podium? Jim, you want to join me up here? What can I say about Lisa Sorin?
What can you say?
Lisa has been amazing, not only at the Westchester Square Biz, but throughout the borough, throughout the precinct. She did wonderful work with the Bronx Chamber of Commerce. And, you know, everybody talks about the wonderful work she's doing at the bid and with the merchants. But Lisa also understands the importance of working with the people in the community. The Owen Nolan days, where she brought out so many programs. the Christmas program where they bring out the most amazing Santa. An actual reindeer came out. And these things mean so much to the people in our community. Lisa has been a true driving force in the entire Westchester Square community, not just in the business community. She is amazing, intelligent, brilliant, just incredible in the work she's been doing. I've been so proud to know her and work with her. It's really incredible. I have her resume here, and you know, it talks about her holding a master's degree, a bachelor's degree in business administration from Concordia. Her educational background is very impressive, but it's her passion that impresses me the most. She really cares not only about our job, which most of us do, you know, we do our jobs and we care about what we do, but about the community and the people she works with. She's been an absolute joy, and she's really devoted herself to the Bronx as one of the 25 most influential women in the Bronx, which is, again, a well-deserved award. I am just so happy to be able to present this award to Lisa Sommers. We also have with us today Maxine Sullivan and Leon Tolton, who have some presentations they'd like to make from Congressman Elliott Engel's office, excuse me, and from Assemblyman Michael Benedetto. So if you guys want to step up and give your awards.
Good morning. Congressman Elliott Engel is not here, but my name again is Maxine Sullivan, and I just want to congratulate you, Lisa, on behalf of Congressman Elliott Engel.
Hey Tom, where's your proc, Tom? What happened, man?
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Leon Tolton, and I'm representing Assemblymember Benedetto. On behalf of the Assemblymember, I just want to congratulate you. So, sorry, I'm a little nervous, but congratulations on behalf of the Assemblymember.
Got out of there really quickly. We have a ton of these things.
Come on over and say a few words.
Honestly, I wouldn't even know where to begin. I don't know who they were speaking about today, but I just want to say thank you to the 4-5, to the officers, to my darling friends around the table. But I honestly have to say that what I do because I love the community. I love the Bronx. Westchester Square sits, you know, sweet in my heart, but it's because the work that was started way before I arrived through John Denizio and Joe Regina and the merchants, Greg, and the borough in its entirety. But I have to say that this award means that much more to me because the 4-5 precinct has been amazing. And the only reason we have this fabulous communication is because Deputy Inspector McGowan and his team, the Community Affairs, come to our office and look to us to see where we need to help. They brought the rookies and we worked alongside the rookies. So it's these type of partnerships that make my job and those jobs of everybody in this community so much easier. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, but I thank you more for all the work that you do.
I seem to have skipped over somebody. My apologies. We have with us our worthy District Attorney Bob Johnson, who has been with us, how many years now, Bob? 27 years. District Attorney Bob has done a phenomenal job here in the Bronx. I'm going to ask Bob to come up and give us a few words.
Good morning. Good morning. I don't want to disrupt the presentations to the honorees, but I do want to add my heartfelt words of gratitude to a lot of people in this room, and also a note of optimism for the future of the Bronx. Part of that optimism comes from what Chief DeCuny was speaking about, which is the fact that as crime numbers are going up in other parts of the city right now, the Bronx is down in the major crime categories, level and homicide. And that is on top of a quarter of a century of reduction. So that gives me a great deal of optimism. But the other reason I have for the optimism is the litany of people that you've heard recognized here today. The Bob Beater and the officers and all the members of the 45th Precinct Community Council. It is true what Senator Klein says. He represents a few of our precinct councils, Senator Hassel Thompson, even more. I represent all 12 and the 2 PSAs. And I can tell you that there are 3 very active community councils, more active than the others, and one of those is the 45th. And in addition to your being active, you're substantive. You're keeping us informed, you're keeping each other informed of what's going on, and you're really recognizing what's important, and you're certainly recognizing the contributions of the police department. With respect to the police department, the brass has always been in communication with us. Chief DeCuny, you are stellar, but you are part of a long line of stellar borough commanders we've had. Deputy Inspector McGowan, once again, in communication with my executive staff on a constant basis, leading a group of men and women, some of whom rightfully are going to be recognized today for their contributions to our community. Your contributions do make a difference. And the contributions of those represented by the 7 candles who have given their lives to protect us, that is so, so very important. And I have to say, it's always a dangerous job, policing, and it's already been said, it's become also a job that's subject to a great deal of criticism. And I try to remind people as I go around the county that none of us, if we look at a neighborhood, a block, if we look at a business, a school, a religion, whatever we look at, you're going to see that there are bad actors, and some of those bad actors, they're the ones that get all the attention. Right now, the police department is getting criticism because of the actions of a few, when the many are protecting us on a daily basis. And some of the few who are causing their criticism are not even policing in our city or our state. So I want to keep that all in perspective as we recognize. Our elected officials, thank you to you for being part of the team. I've been always encouraged by the caliber of elected people we're putting into office in the Bronx County. I am more optimistic and encouraged now. In fact, we have a state where they talk about 4 leaders in a room, and 2 of them come from Bronx County. That's going to mean so much for us in terms of hearing our voices on a constant basis. The community representatives are being honored today. You've heard the list of who they are. They are a stellar group of people who come from different perspectives, from business, from community activism, from faith-based. That's who we are in the Bronx, and I'd say thank you to each and every one of you. A brief thank you to my staff, Barbara Robles-Gonzalez as Director of Community Affairs, Tom Leahy was an Executive Assistant DA. Some of you who know Tom might not understand that he's on my executive staff because you may see him as our Precinct Council representative. He's volunteered to do that additional duty. And they are our eyes and ears on our mission, which runs from graffiti to gun violence, everything in between, and it's all of the utmost importance to us. Finally, I wish you could see this room from our perspective here on the dais. As I look out at each and every one of your faces, you are a key component in keeping the Bronx on the right road. We have communities who care. That's the major factor. We have communities who respect and honor the police. As you heard the senator say, that is going to be returned with respect from the police department. It is a two-way street. It is working. It will continue to work because of all of you. Thank you so very much.
For our next honoree, I'm going to ask Joe Boyko to come up to do a presentation.
I'm going to ask Reverend Jenkins if she'd please come up to the podium. I must say that it is an honor and a privilege that we give an award today to Reverend Jenkins. I've known the Reverend for many years. She is truly a neighbor living in my building. She has given herself her time and devoted herself to the Lord. She opened up, she and her husband 10 years ago, church in Co-op City. She is a liaison to the 4-5 Precinct as clergy. In response to gun violence in the community, she led a year-long prayer walk and community awareness movement to stop violence. She has partnered with the 45th Precinct to present domestic violence workshops and continues to do that. She herself is no stranger to domestic violence and has dealt with it herself at a younger age. She has the pleasure of also working for the Precinct's Borough Patrol Grandmother's Love Program. She is deeply committed to bridging the NYPD and community together and is currently a student at NYPD's Citizens Police Academy, which she expects to graduate this June. Deborah, Reverend Jenkins, is a person who is truly committed to community activism. She is a person who will go out of her way to assist those in the community, specifically those who have been affected in any way due to some form of domestic violence. And domestic violence reaches out, has no barriers to many in the community. It is a pleasure that we honor her today, and I now would like to introduce to you Reverend Deborah Jenkins.
I want to thank the 45th Precinct Council. I want to thank Deputy Inspector McGowan and his wonderful officers, in particular Officer Anne-Marie Morrison and Officer John Serrata. They are all a great team, and Lieutenant. I am so happy to work with them. The Bible tells us in Jeremiah that, Jeremiah 29:11 in fact, that the Lord says, I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and to bring you an expected end. And we don't always know what God would have us do. And sometimes we just sort of fall into situations organically because we're responding to a need. I feel I walk a thin line between the community and the police department because I will not condemn either in order to raise another up. But what I will do always is try to work on either side, on both sides, to bridge the gap. I teach my children, Jason, who's standing over there with the purple tab, and Jayla, who's sitting next to him, I teach them that they are to respect all people. No one is excluded from the respect owed as humanity, as humans. And I've taught them to love and respect those who do a job that I have chosen not to do. If you and I are not police officers, we made a conscious decision to not be police officers, as they made conscious decisions to become police officers. The mere fact that they are police officers and wearing uniforms makes them a target for aggression from all sides. That is something that I honor and I respect, because they wake up every morning praying that they are leaving their homes and are able to return safely. I went kicking and screaming when I was told by the inspector that in order to continue to be a clergy liaison, it has been required from One Police Plaza that I go through the Citizens of Police Academy. So I've been going every Tuesday, and I have to tell you, I have been stretched. I was kicking and screaming saying, I'm not going to be an apologist for the NYPD. I said that. But I have been blessed, and those who are venturing with me have been blessed. 2 weeks ago, we had the firearm simulation. It is not easy for them to decide to use their weapons. And if you know me, you know I'm not saying that to make you feel better about the NYPD. Because parenthetically, the NYPD is not as bad as we do see in the media, and policing in general is not as bad as what we see. There are issues, and I believe people like myself and the other honorees are there to address those issues, not to shirk away from them, but we do it with love and respect. Last week, we had in the firearms training. I never expected to see the humanity from the training instructor, who quite simply said, when you see officers lined up and they're holding their weapons, they're not thinking, how am I going to use aggression against the community? They're praying, let me get home safely, and let me get to my child's game. That's human. That's real. The flip side is the community's perception of law enforcement. Often there is no respect, and it leads to horrible situations that we've all witnessed throughout the country and even in our city. But I believe, and I'm a hopeless optimist, that if we continue to raise our children with love and respect, not only for themselves and their families and friends, but for everyone, including our officers, our communities will be that much better. This is what I preach, this is what I believe, this is what I teach. And I can't change that. I want to thank the 45th Precinct, because there are so many they could have chosen instead of me. I'm humbled. And I said to Officer John, I'm speechless, where is he? He said that would not be true, and I see I did not tell the truth, so I need y'all to pray for me. I'm also happy and honored to work with Lieutenant Perez and Officer Kim with the Grandmother's Love Initiative. That's where Bishop Nancy Rosario and I get to do the soft work of ministry by coming together with 60 grandmothers from the Bronx who work and who are raising their grandchildren, and it's not an easy thing for them to do, but we're there to provide friendship and comfort to them and to support the work of the NYPD. That is happy work. But the roll up your sleeve types of work is what I live to do. And I thank my husband, Frank Jenkins, Pastor Frank Jenkins, my son, Jason Jenkins, Jayla Jenkins, my daughter, for allowing me to do all the things that I do in the community. I am so grateful to Joe, who has been a friend as a neighbor for so many years, Sonia Feliciano, all of the Co-op City in the house. All of my neighbors from Co-op City, the board of directors from the River Bay Board who are here, Marcel Soju, who I work closely with, and Chief Frank Apollo, who I couldn't do the work that I do without him and his department. I'm thankful to my home church family who said I would come out today from Walk Memorial Baptist Church. Raise your hand, Walk Memorial Baptist Church. I'm thankful for my sister, who is my blood sister, my oldest sister, and our best friend, Alicia Kemp, Juanita Presley. And I'm thankful for the Faith at Work Christian Church members who came out to support me today. And for my ministry sister and friend, Minister Lorraine Shabaka. If I left anyone out,
charge it to my head and not my heart. You said me? You said me. And to the Church of God's Children of Bishop Angelo Rosario. God bless you.
Deborah, on behalf of the 4-5 Precinct Council, Deputy Inspector McGowan, and Mike PD, we present you with this plaque, thanking you for your services to the community. Also, we have Congressman Engel's office presenting you with a proclamation, as is Celine Benedetto. And we also have here from Senator Klein and Senator Thompson, some citations for you as well. Again, we thank you for your service. And as Lisa Soren said not long ago, the 45th Precinct is the best precinct in the Bronx.
For our next honoree, I'm going to ask John Doyle to come up.
Thank you, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Come on, we're midway through the program. Let's cheer out. Yes, okay. First off, I'm just going to say a couple words about John Provetto. But we always try when we do this to have somebody come along and tell a personal story and it's a personal touch. John's very involved in the Country Club Civic Association. Their president, Mike McNerney, is going to join me at the podium for this. So, give Mike a round of applause. Not too high. Okay, so John Provetto is the Director of Operations at Cop Shot, the acronym for Citizens Outraged at Police Being Shot. He served in this volunteer position since 1984. The private business organization posts a standing $10,000 cash reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of those involved in fatally shooting, wounding, or shooting a weapon in the direction of a member of the New York City Police Department. A well-utilized resource for apprehending shooters, it is responsible for 27 arrests and convictions and 2 surrenders. CopShot's primary purpose is to serve as a deterrent for would-be shooters. As Director of Operations, Mr. Provetto works closely with the NYPD Crime Stoppers Unit, the Chief of Detective's Office. He oversees the announcement of reward postings and processes reward payouts. His deep passion for CopShot is strongly evidenced in actions that go beyond administrative duties. He is often behind the wheel of CopShot's information vehicle, being dispatched to the scene of a shooting, his voice blaring over the public address system, promoting the reward, and asking informants to call the hotline, 1-800-COPSHOT, to provide information. He also joins NYPD at the scene, affixing reward posters to street poles and building lobbies. He is now in his 40th year of service to the Bronx public transportation industry. Mr. Provetto took a job at the New York Bus Service in 1972 as the driver of the Commuter Express Division. He was later appointed dispatcher and office supervisor. In that time, he was also on the NYPD waiting list, hoping to fulfill a lifelong dream of one day becoming a New York City police officer. On May 20th, 1982, any designs on joining the police force were shattered. That night, on his way home from the New York City bus service, Mr. Provetto stopped at the shoulder of I-95 to assist an accident victim. While helping a motorist, a passing vehicle lost control and careened into Mr. Provetto. He was airlifted to Bellevue Hospital, but doctors were unable to reattach his leg. His selfless act left him with a prosthetic limb. Instead of withdrawing, the accident reinforced his burning desire and passion to help others, especially those who were sworn to serve and protect. Through his recovery, Mr. Provetto continued to advance through the ranks at the New York Bus Service, serving as several management positions, including driving instructor, director of training and safety, assistant superintendent, superintendent, and supervisor of operations. In January 2005, Mr. Provetto continued in the position of director of operations for the MTV bus service after it was absorbed into the larger MTA. He was appointed to the position of chief security officer at the MTA bus, where he oversaw 3 departments, including security, electronic support, and revenue. Obviously, his bio is very extensive. I think I've covered some of the finer points here. Without further ado, I'm going to ask Mike to come up here and share a personal story.
Thank you, John. John Doyle reached out to me a couple days ago, asked me if I had a good story to tell about John Provetto, and I said no. But it brought me back to the very first time I met John Provetto. The moment I moved into the country club community, I knew I was living in a unique community, and I got involved in the Civic Association right away. One day when my wife, myself, and my child were driving home from shopping on East Tremont Avenue, we were coming over the Bruckner Service Road where it turns into Kearney Avenue, the overpass over there, coming into Country Club. And in broad daylight, I saw a gentleman with a can of spray paint in his hand, spray painting the wall. And I had some words that I shared with my wife about how dare this individual do this in the middle of the day, right here in the middle of the street. I pulled over my vehicle, and being a veteran law enforcement officer in New York City myself, I thought I was potentially going to be involved in a situation of an off-duty arrest. I approached him with some choice words and said, "What do you think you're doing?" And he said, "My name's John Provetto, I live right over here, and this is my adopted overpass." He said, I come out here and I take care of all the graffiti that constantly is put on this overpass. So we engaged in conversation. I said to him, "Well, why don't you join the Civic Association?" He said, "I've been a long-time member." And I said, "Well, maybe there's some way we can work it out where we can get you financing for this." And he said, "No." He said, "This is me. I do this on my own time, my own energy, my own financing. I don't have the time to wait for other people to do it." And that's the kind of person John Provetto is, and that's what he does for our community. I also would just like to say, obviously, I said I'm in law enforcement, so John, your efforts with the 1-800-COP-SHOT program, from me to you, we can't thank you enough. From all the law enforcement officers, God forbid I was ever in that position. I like knowing that there's an incentive program out there to make people want to call in and give tips about what they may have seen. It helps with the families a lot to bring closure, so thank you once again also for that. And I believe Mary Jane Massano, if I can quote her, wrote in the Bronx Times about a year ago, she wrote something to the effect of, community service is addictive. And John, once again, you're a prime shining example of that. You've been a mentor to me, and you've been a great asset to the country club community, so I thank you once again.
John, if you could join us up here, we want you actually, if you would like to say a couple of remarks, I'm sure we'd all like to hear some of the things you'd like to say.
Good morning, everyone. Boy, that was a long bio. God. I don't think I'm that old. But I just want to thank, because going out there, people come up to me and say thank you for doing what I do, and it's sort of a win-win situation. It's a win for the community. It's a win for my wife because I stay out of her hair. And I'd like to thank the Community Board 10, Kenny Kearns, John Morano for their support, and also Deputy Inspector McGowan. The precinct has been very supportive. Frank Malafanti, Police Officer Malafanti, has been fantastic. He's actually been out there with me and John Morano painting walls and cleaning up the neighborhood. And we've gotten, I think we've gotten a pretty good handle on Community Board 10 and the 45th Precinct as far as the graffiti. We've probably got cleaned up about 2,000 tags, taken down those, buy your house, donate your car signs. We've been taking them down, and we're going to be doing another campaign of that next week also. So I like to thank everybody in the community for their support. It's a great thing having the precinct and the community board behind us doing all the good things for the community. I'd like to thank my wife and my son for their support, because my wife says, "What are you doing today?" "I'm working." She says, "You're retired." I says, "Well, not really. You have to have purpose in life, and it's a good thing. It's a win situation for me. It gives me exercise and fresh air, and I get out in the community and meet a lot of nice people too. So I want to thank everybody for all their help and support. Thank you very much.
John, on behalf of the 45th Precinct Community Council, we'd like to present you with this award for all that you've done, and also with citations from Senator Thompson, Senator Klein, Assemblyman Benedetto, and Congressman Inman. So here you are. And as someone who also lives in the precinct, John, I just got to thank you for all that you do with graffiti removal. If you go to some of the boundaries of this precinct as opposed to some other precincts, you can definitely see the difference that in our precinct, graffiti gets removed quicker because people around here really care. So let's give John another round of applause. And another congratulations to all our honorees. After they make it through all the lines of photographs, no one has yet suffered epilepsy in our 4th year, so thank you for that. Okay, so next person we have up here is, who will be coming up in a few minutes, will be Paul Nanny. And for those of you who know Paul Nanny, let's give Paul Nanny a round of applause. He's short and to the point, so I'd like to start by saying a few things about some of the other honorees we have coming up here. I just want to say thank you to Reverend Jenkins, Jim McQuaid, whose generosity knows no bounds, Lisa Soren, who's not only one of the best community leaders, but one who has the best sense of humor, and I sit through many meetings with her, John Prevetto, who I've spoken extensively about. John, thank you for all you do. I also like to say a couple words about Mary Jane Musano, who will be coming up here in a few minutes. Mary Jane, and I think the Senator touched on this a few minutes ago, is really what the community is all about. She's practical, she's big thinking when she can be, she's kind when she can be, she's tough when she has to be, and for those of you who have been going through some of the board hearings on some of the social service providers, you've seen her when in her tough phase. And Mary Jane, one of the nicest things about Mary Jane is, unlike me, she never grandstands. She is truly there to do what the community has sent her there to do. So I want to say a couple nice things about her. Also, for our police officers who are here, I'm probably one of the people who emails them the most and is one of the biggest pains, so let me take a moment to thank Lieutenant Trapani, Officers Serrato, Morrison, and Malafante for all they do for the community, because they really do a great job. As I said earlier, that was not the reason I was called up here, but grandstanding aside, I'm going to talk about something that all City Islanders do talk about, and that's traffic. Traffic on City Island is much like any other devices in life. Everyone else does it, and some people have been doing it for a very long time. Traffic on City Island has been terrible for decades. If you go out there, I encourage you all to come. It's a nice place. I wouldn't live anywhere else, but try to come on a weekday and not on summer weekends, unless you like, the extended view of Pelham Bay Park. But nothing really changed for well over, for decades on end until Paul really got involved. Paul held many meetings with our elected officials. He meets every year with the police department to go over our traffic detail, and most importantly, he's been to many 45th Precinct Community Council meetings, so that's always a good thing. It really took a tragedy in 2010 for things to change. And then after that, because of Paul's organization, Paul's advocacy, City Island got a regular summer detail. Every weekend in both the months of July and August, pretty much now all summer long. So at a time, and I think it was important when we were talking about honorees, that we mentioned someone like Paul, because in a time where government was cutting back, we were going through a recession, and when there are fewer cops on the force than really any other time, the fact that Paul got this accomplished is really nothing short of extraordinary, so I wanted to single him out for that. And also because City Island is the place that it is and it's so unique. To reward Paul, City Islands have disrupted him on his Mother's Day, on his Father's Day, on his Valentine's Day, and to share with them their concerns and observations, proving that no good deed goes unpunished. Thank you, Paul. And he's also been chided and criticized at times for the really radical notion that the laws we have on the books apply to both City Islanders and non-City Islanders alike when it comes to traffic. So again, somebody who has given up his time, despite what's popularly thought in City Island, he does not collect a salary for this. None of our honorees really do. Paul Nanny, if you could join us up here right now.
Thank you. I stand here in awe of all the other honorees. What they've done is amazing. Tough acts to follow, of course. But I want to say thank you to Deputy Inspector McGowan and the Community Council for this honor. And yes, I am what's been known on City Island as the traffic guy. I was born in Pelham Bay, and I moved to Westchester Square Hospital, and I moved to City Island after I was married in 1982. And as John said, living on the island, you quickly realize how awful traffic can be on summer weekends and holidays. And previous Civic Association members had worked on the problem, including late Howie Smith, who was instrumental in actually getting the fire lane put in place. But keep in mind that traffic is not just a nuisance or a headache. It really is a safety issue. You may remember a couple of years ago, one of these three-wheeled motorcycles that was called a trike. The person driving it went speeding down the fire lane, and when he hit the City Island Bridge, he hit a bump. He became airborne. When flying into head-on traffic, there was a monstrous accident. He was killed, and the bridge was closed for 6 hours while they cleaned up the situation. So it's not just a nuisance. It really is a safety issue for everyone involved. So I joined the Civic Association, and when they asked for someone to work on a traffic committee, I raised my hand. And it turned out I was the only hand that was raised. And I looked around, and still I was the only hand that was raised. But although I was a committee of one, many people were helpful in helping me solve this problem. So supported by the Civic Association and its president, Bill Stanton, and with the work of our elected officials, Senator Jeff Klein, Councilman Jimmy Vacca, and their staffs, they were instrumental in setting up a meeting with the Civic Association and the Bronx Borough Commander's Office. And it was at that point that we started to talk about how we can get traffic agents, summer details, whatever, put into place. And really, what's been put into place has actually been very effective in managing and controlling the traffic. Traffic will never go away on City Island, but at least now it's better managed. I mean, we now have, during the summer and holidays, there are police officers and traffic agents approaching the bridge. They're standing at every intersection to move traffic along. If you've been to City Island on weekends, have you seen all the orange cones? Yeah, we probably have more orange cones on City Island than any construction site in New York City. But those cones are actually very effective because I think if you sat there in traffic on City Island, being a good citizen, waiting for your turn to get on City Island, you see all these people speeding past you with a fire lane, right? That is illegal and it is dangerous. all those cones now prevent those people from doing it. And, you know, what you often see now is, which is also, you know, a bit dangerous, is when people get there and they see all these cones, they make U-turns and they hightail it out. But that is all being controlled. In addition, I really want to say that the 45th Precinct, you know, under, you know, the direction of, you know, the Deputy Inspector, Lieutenant Paul Trapani, Officer Anne Marie Morrison. The other big issue we have is speeding and very, very loud motorcycles that go up and down City Island Avenue at all hours. And they have been very effective with their programs targeting motorcyclists because to drive a motorcycle, is my understanding, you need a special driver's license. And a lot of the people who drive motorcycles don't have them. And the 45th has been targeting them for years and been doing a very, very effective job in actually keeping the motorcycle noise down and actually confiscating a lot of motorcycles because they are being illegally driven. So we have to thank the 45th for that. And now that a new City Island bridge is under construction, there's going to be more traffic than ever, so you know, we ask for your patience. But the bottom line is, as the borough commander pointed out earlier, is that regular communication between the 45th Precinct and the Civic Association has really helped in managing this situation. There will always be traffic on City Island, but at least now it's a controlled situation. And finally, since you've all been so nice to come to this breakfast for all of the honorees here, I just want to give you a little hint, maybe save you a couple of minutes. If you do come to City Island on a holiday or a weekend, go around the back way by Orchard Beach. It'll save you a couple of minutes. Thank you very much.
I want to say thanks to Paul because, again, when members would call about traffic or their neighbor parking in an irregular fashion, the person they would call is Paul Nanny because, as you heard in his speech, he's very knowledgeable about the issues we face. And just so you know, Paul, as selfless as he is, has offered to step aside numerous times, but the Civic Board has refused to accept his resignation because nobody else would do a good job like he does. And this is really what the breakfast is all about. The breakfast is about acknowledging and recognizing those, like Paul, who do things for no reason or recognition. They do it just because it's the right thing to do. So let's give Paul another round of applause. Proclamations and school elected officials, and now it's your turn on the rope line over there.